What's up, Ali Squad? I've been kind of dreading giving an update because, my second surgery is coming up. It's coming up on the 10th this week, on Thursday at 12 o'clock. So, I try not to think about it. I've asked God to give me peace and to allow me to have peace so that I can go into the surgery calm and, assured that everything's going to be all right. The doctor explained like what's gonna happen. She talked about the severity if things were to get really, really bad, what they would have to do. They do have to go in to finish removing, like they have to do a full hysterectomy. They have to remove lymph nodes on my lower abdomen. They talked about if things were really bad that they would have to give me a blood transfusion. They talked about like these are possible case scenarios, like just giving me the detail of what could possibly happen, like if things did go bad or what they might have to do, because doing these type of surgeries you can injure an organ, and so things that changes the surgery. And so they talked about removing any cancer cells. If they see any cancer cells that they have to remove, then they will remove those. The stage of my cancer can change depending on the right ovary and if there's any spread, which they didn't see on the CAT scan that they took, any spread. They didn't see, you didn't see anything on the CAT scan, but sometimes those things are tricky. Like they were tricky the first surgery I had. So, they didn't see anything and went in and found the endometriosis and cancer. So, I forgot what I was going to say. They talked about a colostomy bag, and I'm just like, great, you're taking out my uterus, and if things go wrong, and if, you have to cut my intestines a certain way, and I might have to get a colostomy bag. They don't know for how long, but let's hope that that's not the case. I'm praying and hoping that God will clear a path, that he will clear the way so that I wouldn't have to get that, because I'm like, the next hit is like, now you got to walk around with a poop bag. Nobody wants to walk around with a poop bag. And I know there's people that don't have that option. So I'm just praying to God, and I know everybody's situation is different. I'm just feeling like overwhelmed with everything, like they're telling me the possible things that could happen. Depending on the severity of the endometriosis, because what happens when you have endometriosis, it connects to other organs. Like it could connect to the bottom of the colon or, the anus, if you look at how endometriosis connects, it'll show you like it connects. Sometimes it can connect in between of the organs and then make the organs stick together, like the uterus and, stuff like that. I have seen pictures and read reports and stuff like that, but they did remove some of it, so they would have to carefully try to burn those things off, and in the process, sometimes organs can get hurt. But they did a good job the first time, and I'm hoping that they do a good job now because, nothing was affected. Thankfully, like my body's still functioning fine. The recovery process is going to be a little more tough because they are not doing a cesarean because they just did a cesarean. So they can't cut me on top of the one that they already did, because that one's still, even though it's been 5 weeks, today, Monday, it's 5 weeks that I had that surgery. So they don't, want to cut me there because it's still fresh. So they have to cut me, like go in from the belly button down, and they're saying that they might cut above the belly button going straight down. So I'm just like, great, now I have to have another, scar, because they have to check my abdomen. They have to remove lymph nodes in the abdomen. They have to remove a fatty bag in the colon. So it's just places that cancer might think to hide in. They want to remove. Now they can't remove everything because, cancer can hide in like places, like similar places that, have similar tissues. Now, would this mean that cancer wouldn't come back? No, it doesn't, because you have other tissues that are similar to the ovaries, similar to the uterus, like, so the cancer can come back somewhere else. And that's why they're giving me the chemo treatment, and they will be monitoring me months at a time to make sure, to check my blood, to make sure that it's not, the numbers are not coming back. And any inkling of a peak of anything, then they would have to, go in and start investigating again. So it's really hard, but I know that this is something that I have to do. And I've been having like lack of sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, awkward dreams. All right, sorry, a call came in, I was cut off. So in the dream, having known that my uterus was removed, that I wasn't able to have any more kids. So it's like, you can see it as two different things. Like when you become faithful to God and know that the devil is testing you, and knowing that he's putting things like, I was talking with my mother-in-law and we was talking about Job. So my wife says, and a lot of people have been saying, like, I remind them of the story of Job. So what happened in the story of Job, he was stripped, like, from everything. He got sick. His wife left him. I think his kids died. And from what my mother-in-law explains to me, because I was like, that's like, I found out Jesus was an angel. So then it was something towards that God had said something, and then Jesus said, okay, I'll take on the task. And that's when he came down to earth. But let's go back into that part. So that's where it has to do with Jesus. And God had called all the angels and told Jesus, God had called all the angels and the devil himself, because he was, no matter what, he was still one of the angels, but he was the devil. So he came and he told them, well, the only reason that Job serves you is because he's scared that you will hurt him. He's scared that you will take everything that you have given away from him. So basically, he was telling God, like, the only reason he serves you is because you protect him and you give him stuff. And if you took all those things away, he wouldn't serve you anymore. He would, disown you. So God said, go ahead. I give you permission to strip him from everything. But the only thing you cannot do is kill him. So this is what this conversation came about, because I had another conversation with somebody else and there was misinformation. So my mom's mom, I call her my mom, but she's my mother-in-law. She's been reading the Bible for a very long time. And, she like always tries to see the message in that, and in those verses and the way things came about. So in that, some of that, my wife was like, do you not feel that in some way I do feel like this is what the devil is doing? He's, taking away things from me because he wants to see how faithful I'm going to be to God, or, if I'm going to turn my back. So, and that's why I'm trying not to cry. That's why I just came to an understanding that I got what God was going to give me. And I just had to come to an acceptance that this was going to happen. So, I always feel that anything that is negative and ill-intentional is not of God, but I know that he is guiding me and walking with me through this situation. And I kind of got lost in, well, I did tell you the story about Job or whatever, but, I continue to pray, and I thank everybody that has prayed for me and that keeps me in their prayers and that encourages me, and I feel really blessed and appreciated. I feel appreciative of everyone that has done so. And it's just going into the surgery. It is very scary, and we are allowed to question, just like, his name really is Job, but it's Job. They say Job. So, but it's spelled Job. But, Job did the same thing in the Bible. Like when I was listening, he would question, like, why am I going through this? And, he thought God was punishing him. And people would tell him, well, maybe your family, like if you listen to the Bible, when before Jesus walked the scene, people were punished, and their families and families of families, like their generation of, like, just the line of families would be punished for years on. So, you know, there was some people that was like, maybe he's punishing you because somebody in your past or your children committed a sin or something, and you're being punished for that. But people didn't understand that the devil was already walking the scene. They didn't know that he was already walking the scene. They didn't know that such thing existed, you know, because they always thought, like, when you're punished from God, because if you're not following his way, this is what's going to happen. Yes, God took away things, but he did it because people were disobedient and they weren't saved yet. When Jesus Christ walked on the scene, things changed. So they weren't saved yet. And God was very harsh. If you ever listen to the Bible or read the Bible, he was very harsh because people were disobedient. They wanted to live their life, but they wanted to be saved at the same time. So they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. And when you decide to be God's soldier and walk with God, you can't live on the outside world and still have the inside world. It doesn't work that way. You have to make a choice. If you're going to walk the right path and be a good person, and so these people, God, like they always said, is a very jealous God. So when you pray to other statues and other religions and stuff like that, like God didn't like that. So he would, like, that's why in the Bible at the beginning, people will become enslaved for years at a time, and then they would come out of slavery, because he would send a judge or he would send people to come and get them out of slavery, and then they would be good for a little bit and they would go back into slavery because they wanted to go back into the same pattern and behaviors. They didn't have as much free will as we do now because we've been saved by Jesus Christ. So there was a thing that people believed, that Jesus and God were the same. If you ever listened, I know this had to do with my surgery, but I like talking about God, especially my mother-in-law, and I like talking about Jesus' story. It's so intriguing to me now that I'm older. But if you ever listen, when Jesus was being crucified, he says, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" So why would Jesus be calling to God and saying, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" Or, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." So you have to think, like, the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, and God are all three different things. They're not like the same in one. And when I was a kid, that's what I was made to believe, but they're not, because God was still directing Jesus from above. Jesus rose again, and he called him Father. He would not say Father. Why would he speak to himself? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he speak to himself? If he had all this power, why would he allow someone to kill him? Make it make sense. But anyway, so I think these things, like reading or listening, and sometimes I don't listen, but when I do listen, I listen for, like, lessons that, like, I could listen to a whole chapter, like, let's go through Genesis. I could listen to that whole thing in one setting, just sit there for hours listening and listening. But it's very intriguing to me. So, I hold dear to that because it's shined a light to many things, and it has helped me progress forward. So, I'm going in with knowing that God is in charge and that he is protecting me and that he's guiding me, and that the devil doesn't get a pass. He doesn't get to win, because one thing that he cannot do is kill God's soldiers. And whatever my fate is, God is already, like, my life has already been set. My history, like, whatever's going to happen to me was already set in stone. And I may feel great, I may look great, but we don't know. And all we have to do is pray to God and know that he is in control. And know that the devil has already lost the battle a long time ago. And yes, he's going to put things in our mind, and he's going to say things and make us feel some type of way. But know that is not of God. God would never hurt us and harm us in that way. So, I mean, people do have to pay for the things that they do, their sins. Like, we all have to repent, and we all have to, own up to our consequences, and there is own up to our like our faults, and there are consequences for our actions. And so that's what I'm going in. I'm trying to go in with a clear mind. I try not to look at researches. I try not to think about it, because it becomes overwhelming. But I don't want to keep talking on, because this video is already like 15-16 minutes long. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.